Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Big Mike Talks. I am, of course, your host, Big Mike, and we're taking a look at the first half of the week of pro wrestling. And honestly, it was a pretty interesting week. Got the start to a new title tournament. We got some new faces, and getting ready for another tournament. So, sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and let's do this. So, first things first, we're going to cover Monday Night Raw, in which we start off with adrenaline in his soul, something, Cody Rhodes for a promo. He thanks the crowd for the great reaction. And he mentioned how Jacksonville was his home during the pandemic. Hinted, nudge, nudge, AEW. And he's ready to make some new memories here tonight in Jacksonville. He mentions his match with at Backlash against Brock Lesnar. And he discovered what Brock is made of. He's made of sweat, blood, and muscle, just like everybody else. And he's ready to put Lesnar in his rear view and focus on the World Heavyweight Championship, which he shouldn't even be looking at, because he should be finishing his story with Roman Reigns. Anyway, Night of Champions, I'm going to fight like I fought at Backlash throughout this tournament and become your new World Heavyweight Champion. And then he introduces the tournament. Seth Rollins then comes out. Now, Cody is out in his gear, so I'm thinking, like everyone else, the Cody Triple Threat match is going to be first. No, it's going to be Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, and Shinsuke Nakamura first, in which we get a brief Damian Priest interview. He gave a little bit of praise to Bad Bunny, but he said it took an island to keep him down, i.e. the LWO, Savio Vega and Carlito. And he's saying either Balor or Priest are bringing the title to Judgment Day. And then we get that triple threat match, and they give this match not only plenty of time, but they give everybody plenty of shine too, including a Miss Kinshasa, which, I thought at that point Nakamura was going to get the win. It looked like Priest was going to hit a double South of Heaven, but that gets countered. Then, after a crossbody to Nakamura, a pedigree, your winner, Seth Rollins, moving on to the main event, which will be against another Raw superstar, because apparently this tournament is split up between Raw and SmackDown, even though this is a Raw title. In which I've heard some explanation about it, that it's to counter the NBA and NHL playoffs, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. We get Imperium backstage, or at least Vinci and Kaiser basically calling out that next week Gunther is coming, because right now he's on his honeymoon. Congratulations, Gunther. They then run into Zayn and Owens, and Zayn and Owens are pretty much like, yeah, guys, we're not into this right now. We're getting ready for something else. Then Vinci and Kaiser are like, look, even though Gunther is coming up next week, we're here tonight, and we're ready for a fight. So Owens and Zayn are pretty much like, yeah, let's deal with this in one night tonight. Pretty much calling Kaiser and Vinci minions, which At this point, they kind of are, which is a shame. But, yeah, we're getting Imperium versus the Tag Champs coming up. Next up, we got a very odd match between Otis and Mustafa Ali. Now, it started off normal, very fine. Otis has Mustafa Ali ready for the Caterpillar, which is a very funny throwback to the Worm finisher from back in the day. But then Chad Gable and Maxine Dupree get up on the apron, pretty much telling them opposite things. Chad Gable's like, go for it, you got him right where you want him. Maxine's like, no, you can't do that, you're too pretty to do that, do something else. And then Ali slams Otis into the turnbuckle, 450 splash, your winner, Mustafa Ali in a squash match. So Ali has now beaten both members of Alpha Academy in very quick succession, which hopefully that means he's getting more of a push coming, but we'll see. We then get a Miss vignette getting ready for hyping up his triple threat match coming later on, calling himself two-time Grand Slam winner, and the only true workhorse in the tournament, which I guess, I don't know. We then get into the match as it's The Miz, Cody Rhodes, and Finn Balor, the other half of the Raw bracket side for the World Heavyweight title tournament. And honestly, this was kind of the Cody Rhodes show. Like, Balor definitely got his stuff in. Miz got some in, but not nearly enough to be interesting. Cody Rhodes goes on a crossroad heavy finisher spam. He goes for the cover. Then all of a sudden, from outside the ring, Brock Lesnar pulls him out, F5 to the floor. Now it's triple threat. That means, no DQ. Then that leaves Finn Balor in the ring with The Miz. He hits a shotgun drop kick, coup de grace, and moving on to the Raw finals, or the Raw semifinals, Finn Balor. So we're getting a rematch from the 2016 SummerSlam, where Finn beat Rollins for the newly minted Universal title, in which he had to give up the next day due to injury, due to a buckle bomb into the guardrail, which it's a shame, because Balor hasn't been near the top of the card in WWE in a while. So hopefully this will be a new push for Mr. Balor. Post-match, we get Lesnar continuing the attack on Cody, including an F5 through the announce table. Brock says, yeah, I want to fight. I'm not done with you yet. So at Night of Champions, I want to fight you. Then we see Cody backstage being helped out by a doctor. We then get one of the shortest matches of the night. We got Rhea Ripley taking on Dana Brooke, not for the title, thankfully. And, Dana gets some stuff in, but this was the Rhea Ripley show. And after the Riptide, and then goes for the prison lock. Your winner by submission, Rhea Ripley. Now Rhea continues the attack on Dana Brooke. And that brings out Natalya, in which they have a stare down. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Natalya. She's a good wrestler. I think she's the last person that really needs a push for the title. Then we get the vignette for the NXT draft picks for Raw. Then we get an interview from Zoe Starks, one of the NXT call-ups. She pretty much puts herself over, amazing at what she does. But then she notices something off screen. She and the interviewer walk over to Nikki Cross. And she points out, yeah, there's nothing but weirdos here. And then she challenges Cross to a match, which she seemingly accepts, We never really get anything verbally from Cross, but whatever. Next up, we got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens taking on Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci of Imperium. And this match is all I wanted from tag team wrestling. Like, was it the perfect match? No. Was it a whole lot of fun and enjoyable to watch? Absolutely. A lot of great near falls, a lot of great tags. But then after a stunner, super kick, and then Zayn in with the haluva kick, your winners, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, here's the only thing I really don't like about this. You got so many tag teams between Raw and SmackDown, and really only one set of titles, even though they hold both the Raw and the SmackDown tag team titles. I hope something gets figured out with that, because I think both brands deserve individual titles. We then get Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville trying to get people to sign up pension so that they can get a match for the women's tag team titles. They then pass by Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Dexter Lumis, and Indy Hartwell, pretty much confirming, oh, the Way is back together, which, honestly, that's great. I did watch them for a bit on NXT 2.0. They were pretty much a highlight for that show, so hopefully this will be good. Then Johnny Gargano pretty much keeps saying, oh, he's coming back, I can't wait. Meanwhile, the rest of his group are like, yeah, I don't know if he really fits in. Now, a lot of people were thinking, oh, it's Austin Theory, in which he could have used something new post-Backlash. But he's on SmackDown. So more than likely, it's going to be former NXT Tag Team Champion Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa in the Way. That just sounds weird, but I'm kind of into it. Like, I'm willing to see where that goes. We then get the Zoe Stark Nikki Cross matchup, which definitely showed what Zoe Stark was all about. I'm not super familiar with Zoe Stark. Like I said, I did watch a little NXT 2.0, but not enough to really get that invested. But Zoe Stark really showed her stuff out there, and I like what I saw. And ultimately, after a Z360, your winner, Zoe Stark. We then get a Rhea Ripley Dom Mysterio promo, pretty much saying, oh, we're on a roll, we're going to be champion for a while. And then the interviewer brings up Natalya, in which Rhea pretty much states, yeah, I'm not scared of Natalya. She's definitely been here a while, but she's not on my level. We then get a Woods. Then Xavier Woods and Akira Tozawa interrupt them, pretty much saying, look, you guys haven't faced anyone in a real fight lately, and tonight Woods is looking for a fight, in which Dom pretty much accepts, so we're going to be seeing that later. And then Tozawa just buggers off, so we'll see what happens to Tozawa one day, I guess. We then see backstage Trish Stratus putting up missing posters for Becky Lynch. We then see her go to the ring, cut a promo, pretty much say, I'm going to find her, but it's not going to be over here on Raw. It's going to be in some dark corner of Iowa with her dumb daughter, which, yikes. She's not on here tonight, but Raw is my show, my spotlight, and no one's taking it. We then get Becky Lynch music on, and it's pretty much the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart fake out from a few years ago, post Montreal Screwjob. Then Trish pretty much basically belly laughs. Then tells a story about her own daughter getting a used doll and wanting to name her Becky Lynch, in which I guess her daughter's a big Becky Lynch fan. Then music hits again. Trish is like, no, guys, cut it. Joke's over. Then from behind, out comes Becky Lynch. Then Becky just starts battering Trish Stratus. Trish then gets out of the ring. Becky gets a mic. Basically says, hey Trish, you want me? I'm right here. We then see backstage Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens talking it out in the trainer's room, in which we'll see what happens there. We then get Xavier Woods versus Dom Mysterio, in which, it was fun enough. Like, I think the crowd hating on Dom pretty much got me through this match. Near the end, Xavier Woods tries for the elbow drop. Rhea Ripley pulls Dom out of the ring. Dom gets back in. And then it's Woods with the roll-up for the pinfall victory. We then get an Indus promo in which, Jinder Mahal and them pretty much say, we're coming soon. The little joke for Veer, if you know that joke. We then get Nakamura and Miz talking backstage, in which Miz pretty much reiterates what he said the week prior, that he and Nakamura could have each other's back, with the crowd chanting, Mizkay Nakamura! And then Nakamura finally pipes up, he agrees. And next week, it's going to be Miz, Nakamura, one-on-one. And then Nakamura walks off. Miz pretty much says, that isn't what I said at all. We then see backstage Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. They are still gaining signatures. And then they run into the tag team champions. That's Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And Liv pretty much says, we'll sign this thing, but in the future, if you want a title shot, just ask. Then Green retorts, we kind of have it down that it won't be you will be facing. It'll be Damage Control, in which Damage Control, Liv, and Raquel have a match on SmackDown. And then the following Raw, it'll be one of those two versus Green and Deville. So, hopefully that's not too complicated, but it is something. We then get a Cody Rhodes promo, pretty much saying, this new title was mine to win. But of course, Brock Lesnar attacks me again for no reason. And now that Brock Lesnar's... There's a theory going around that Brock Lesnar is miffed with Cody because Brock Lesnar doesn't have a stranglehold on the main event scene anymore. And then, ultimately, Cody accepts Brock Lesnar's Night of Champion challenge. So that match is full go. That should be interesting. Hopefully there's some kind of stipulation with that, because just another match, it could be okay. And finally, our main event of the evening, the Raw semifinals for the World Heavyweight Title Tournament. You got Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. Now, this is one of the things I don't understand with this show. Like, you got a couple more weeks until Night of Champions. You could maybe space some things out a little bit more. Like this week, you're going to have the quarterfinals, next week the semis, and then the finals the following week. But, hey, this match wasn't bad at all. We then recreate the spot from SummerSlam 2016, but instead of Balor going into the barricade, it's Seth. And honestly, Seth selling the arm the entire time. Maybe not fully hitting the moves he wants to flush. It's great bit of wrestling, and honestly, I can't recommend it enough. Ultimately, Finn goes for the coup de grace. That gets countered by the knees up. Seth goes for a superplex. Tries for the Falcon Arrow, but a roll-up. Roll-through drop kick into a 1916 for the 2 count. Finn goes for the coup de grace again. He misses. Pedigree. 2 count only. Then Seth finally hits the stomp. Pretty much 2 stomps in a row for the victory over Finn Balor. Honestly, Raw was a bit formulaic this week, but in a way, it kind of worked. Like, I don't think there was ever really a down segment. The only thing I will say that got me down from this was the crowd. Now, obviously, no crowd was going to be as loud as Puerto Rico for Backlash. But at the very least, I don't even remember where they were. But having the piped-in crowd noise from the Thunderdome was just so... It brought me back to the dark times again, where no one was in the crowd. Like, here's an idea, crowd. Make some freaking noise! Like, Jesus! You're here to watch a show, not sit on your hands with your head in your screen. Watch the show. React. Give them something to work with. Ultimately, that's my review of Raw. Next up, we got NWA Power. Now, of course, no MLW this week. They have gone on hiatus. And I believe Underground is not going to be on anymore. It's going to be MLW Fusion. That's going to be starting a bit later in May. So stay tuned for that. So to kick off NWA Power, we got the NWA Television title match as EC3 takes on Tom Latimer. And honestly, this was a nice little back and forth. It did start out a little slow, but then it escalated into some big stuff. Latimer, by the end, blocked the 1%er. Looks like he was trying for a crossface. That gets blocked by EC3. And then, time limit draw. NWA TV title matches usually only go 6:05 for a time limit. So, end of the day, still your TV champion, Tom Latimer, and this technically counts as a successful defense. So this is his 3rd of 7 before he gets to challenge for the world title. Next up, a very kind of nothing match. You have Yabo the Clown, who debuted on NWA 312, taking on Ricky Morton. Now, Ricky, once the bell starts, stomps on Yabo's foot. It goes flat. So that's something. Then the match gets going for a little bit. Yabo with a push takedown into a roll-up for the surprise victory. So Yabo has a win over Ricky Morton. Post-match, You have Kerry Morton come out pretty much saying, how could you lose to a clown? How could you lose to a clown? This is so embarrassing. Then Ricky was like, why weren't you at ringside? I needed you, man. So it looks like there's a bit more of a disconnect between the Morton family. We'll see how it affects them for the Crockett Cup. Next up, we got an Aaron Stevens promo with BFT with him. Then May, who is technically Aaron's ex, pretty much, give me credit where credit is due. I introduced you to being a manager, and now you're having success. Stevens retorts with, oh, you know what your credit can get you? The last bill that was due from you, which, that was savage. And then he pretty much says, you see these two men by me? We're men. We're real men. We don't care about your wrestling traditions. We're here to take things for ourselves. And we are getting ready to take the titles. We then get a very weird Bully Ray promo in which he apologizes to Latimer for his comments during their match at 312. And he wants to get the best out of Latimer because he sees him as the next big thing, which, high praise from Bully Ray. You don't really see that often. Then out comes Daisy Kill, sings Bully Ray a little song about how they first met, in which Bully tells Daisy he sucks, and Daisy wants a fight. Then Bully Ray gets on the mic, starts singing about, I'm gonna kick your ass, which leads to Bully Ray versus Daisy Kill, which is over in 2 seconds after a huge Uranagi by Bully Ray. And then, yeah, that's that. A little bit pointless, but, we'll see what happens there. We then have Kenzie and Kylie Page interview. Kenzie reveling in her time as a now 2-time champion, but maybe in the future I'll go for being a 3-time champion. And maybe we'll continue our legacy as the Page family with some new adopted members, aka pre-empowered. So we'll see what goes on from there. We then get a fiery Scion interview in which he pretty much says, yeah, after I've lost my title, I'm a very different man. And maybe losing the title was the best thing for me. I now know who I am. I know what I want to do. And I'm tired of listening to anyone else. And I am dressed to go. So anyone who wants it, come get it. And now it is the main event. A tag team match, a warm-up for the Crockett Cup. As we get Tyrus, along with Chris Adonis, taking on BFT. And honestly, this was pretty much a hoss fight. You have Tyrus starting out, a couple of scoop slams, he then tags out to Adonis for a bit. He goes for the Master Lock, but then BFT Carnage completely powers out. Tyrus and Carnage then get in. They start brawling for a little bit. Then all of a sudden, Aaron Stevens gets in the ring. He loads up his glove. Looks like he wants to fight. Then Chris Masters with the Master Lock. Tyrus ends up on the outside fighting the rest of BFT. And it ends in a double countout, which is a little disappointing. I get protecting your guys, but something more needed to happen here. Like, I don't know. I hope the other warm-up matches aren't like this. And Fine Alamo for the week. It's AEW Dynamite. And we start off with a double Jeopardy match. And what that means is that the winner gets a future shot at the loser's title. So we have Claudio Castagnoli, your Ring of Honor World Champion, taking on Rey Fenix, one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. And honestly, the combination of power versus speed really worked in favor of this match. It was very well paced, and it was very entertaining. With your winner, after a bunch of hammer and elbows, Rico Labam, your winner, Claudio Castagnoli. We then see backstage, we just see legs walking, pans up, it's Miro! Rejoice, Miro Day has arrived, making his big old return to AEW. The interviewer tries to get a word in. He then walks right into Tony Khan's office. Ooh. More than likely this is going to be for Collision. So we'll see what happens there. Excuse me. We then get a little MJF vignette. Talks about the different attributes of the pillars. And pretty much calls himself generational talent. And the reign of terror has just begun. So we'll see how that goes. We then get FTR in the ring. They initially call out Mark Briscoe. Out comes instead the entire J&J crew. Sanjay Dutt pretty much demands FTR accept the challenge for Double or Nothing. Then I believe it was Dax Harwood who retorted, "Alright, we'll give you the title shot, but only if you confirm that you've been using Mark Briscoe to get to us." That offends J&J. They're taken aback. Out comes Mark Briscoe. He's got a handful of stuff, including what looks like cups and whiskey. He's like, "Oh, guys, chill out. We gotta calm down. You guys have a hard time controlling your emotions when you're together. So instead of fighting, let's have a toast." So he hands out cups. He pours drinks. A toast to Double or Nothing. So that pretty much confirms the match. Then everyone starts drinking, and then Sanjay Dutt spits the drink into Dax's eyes. They start brawling. Then Dax grabs a hold of Mark Briscoe and pile drives him. Oh! And it is also revealed for the Double or Nothing match, Mark Briscoe is going to be the special guest ref. So, there's that little wrinkle. We then get an interview with Chris Jericho. He asked why everyone felt such glee with Adam Cole attacking me. Cole, you have created an unsafe work environment, so I have come up with these papers so that if Jericho is in a certain arena, Adam Cole cannot be there. And then Roderick Strong interrupts. He issues a challenge next week for a Falls Count Anywhere match for Jericho. And then he gives Jericho a subpoena saying, "Oh, the JAS is banned from ringside for this match." So that's going to be fun. We then get another look back at Tony Khan's office. Renee Paquette is ready and waiting for Miro. And then strolls in Thunder Rosa. That's right, Thunder Rosa is back. She pretty much says, "Yeah, today is a good day to talk to Tony Khan." Now, I don't know if that confirms her return or not, but I'm glad to see her back on my TV. We then get a Sammy Guevara vignette as they're going over the 4 pillars, in which he pretty much says, yeah, this has been a dream of mine forever to compete at the top of my game, but every time I get looked over, but now it is my time. We then get a Tony Khan promo, pretty much going over the lineup for the rest of the night, and he has a pretty big announcement coming next week. More than likely AEW Collision. We then get the AEW International title match as Orange Cassidy takes on Daniel Garcia. And honestly, I think Garcia finally showed out tonight. Showed a little bit of character, and of course, he had some pretty big targets as Orange Cassidy's hand was wrapped. He kept attacking the knee. He blocked an orange punch at once, which that rarely happens. Cassidy tries for a couple beach breaks. That gets kicked out of. Garcia tries for the Dragon Tamer. Cassidy gets out of that. And then after a surprise roll-up, your winner, and still International Champion, Orange Cassidy. We then get a little vignette from the Outcast AEW Originals feud. It looks like we're getting a 6-person tag match next week between the Outcasts, Hikaru Shida, who went back to Japan this week, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker. So that should be a fun one. We then get a Christian Cage promo, pretty much calling out Wardlow, who isn't in the building. Pretty much puts over that my legend is more over than the Arn Anderson legend. That Arn pushed Brock aside to get to hitch himself up to Wardlow. And yeah, he's ready for his title shot. We then get a Darby Allin vignette, pretty much saying, "Oh, I was put on the earth to be a wrestler, and then I go crazy outside the ring because inside the ring I go just as crazy. I want to be champion to give back, and I blazed my own way, got into wrestling on my own, and I know my path. That's the world title." We then get a very short but pretty entertaining no-holds-barred match between NJ and Julia Hart, in which they used pretty much everything but the kitchen sink. But then after a heartless submission, your winner, Julia Hart. We then get a promo with Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and Bandito. Best Friends and Bandito are challenging for the Trios title coming up next. Pretty much renamed themselves the Best Amigos. And Renee reminds them, "Oh, you gotta pick a stipulation for this match. What do you got?" Then Chuck Taylor pretty much says, "Yeah, Julia Hart scares the heck out of me, so no witches at ringside." So, and then we get into the Trios title House Rules match between House of Black, Bandito, and Best Friends. And honestly, this was definitely a fun Trios bout. A lot of good back and forth, especially between Bandito and Black. Those two worked really, really well. Some great tag-ins, including a soul food kind of early on, which, that's interesting. And then kind of from out of nowhere, Dante's Inferno from Brody King and Buddy Murphy So your winners, still AEW Trios Champions, House of Black. Then we cut to backstage. Orange Cassidy has been laid out. Then we see someone reach in, take the international title, pans up. It's Kyle Fletcher, who just says Aussie. And now it has been revealed he is going to challenge Orange Cassidy for the international title on Rampage. We'll get to Rampage in a minute. Then we get the final Pillar Jungle Boy Jack Perry vignette, in which he revealed he started wrestling training at 9 or 10, which is absolutely crazy, in a friend's backyard. And at that point, he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a wrestler. But then under Christian Cage, he realized the world is a lot colder than he realized. He wants to be the best wrestler in the world. He doesn't want to take shortcuts. And we got 4 young, hungry guys ready to make magic at Double or Nothing. We then get a vignette hyping next week. We're getting Ricky Starks versus Jay White. Yeah, boy. And finally, for this part of the week in pro wrestling, we got our main event for Dynamite. It's Kenny by God Omega taking on Jon Moxley inside of a steel cage. And honestly, these two beat 7 shades of damn out of one another. At one point, Kenny Omega goes from under the ring and brings out a barbed wire covered steel chair, referencing the barbed wire death match they had a couple years ago. And they just start battering each other with that. Then we see Moxley go down under the ring, grab a bag. Now everyone and myself thought it would be thumbtacks. Instead, it reveals glass, which is a reference to their first match, which was a lights out match on the, I believe it was either the first Dynamite or Double or Nothing, in which Moxley hit a paradigm shift through a glass table in a VIP lounge, which, that was insane. They went back and forth on each other a couple times. Of course, Moxley's bleeding a bit. Then after a huge V-trigger through the cage wall, Mox and Omega get back into the ring. Although first, Mox grabs a screwdriver from someone at ringside. Looks like he's going to drive it into Kenny Omega. Then Don Callis, who has been on ringside this whole time, gets into the ring, grabs the screwdriver, and gets to the side. V-trigger, one-winged angel. Then, all of a sudden, during the pin, Don Callis takes the screwdriver, drives it into Kenny Omega. That's right, we get a Don Callis heel turn. And honestly, I'm kind of for it, because Callis doesn't really fit in a face elite group. Then post-match, we see Callis standing over Omega. He whispers something to him and then just kisses him on the forehead. Like, man, this felt like a really old school episode of Dynamite where a lot happens, but it's all really entertaining. It draws you in, and it makes you interested for next week. Now, speaking of, let me just speak of the rest of the week. Friday, more than likely, I'm going to miss SmackDown, which is a shame, because I've been enjoying SmackDown lately. Rampage is actually going to be on Saturday this week, so I think I'm just going to watch that for fun. No NWA USA either. They're instead going to be showing footage from their tour in Mexico, which should be fun. I might cover that too, honestly. We'll see. But yeah, ultimately that just leaves Impact and Ring of Honor for the rest of the week. So, shorter video for Saturday. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your favorite thing from this week in wrestling. Let me know what you're looking forward to in the rest of the week. And of course, please be nice to each other. And happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.